Alright, so this is the third and final round. This hand is obviously an insta-mulligan, the old one land hand. This is a little bit better. It does have a turn 2 and a turn 4 play, and if I have to, I have the Gatekeeper Vine to get my blue source that I might need. This deck has really given me a lot of mana problems this whole series. Not because like I was off color, but just sometimes it just seemed like I had hands with no land in them, and that's just part of Magic, and it's sad, but that's kind of what happened to me. So I go Pegasus into a Brush Strider, and that's pretty cool. He does have a Stealer of Secrets, but that's not a big deal because the Brush Strider is a Vigilance creature, so I have no problem with him either trading with it or just allowing me to get in for some damage. I also have a trick now in my hand with the Dramatic Rescue, but I don't actually have the mana to play it. Not a huge deal right now, though. I just decided to get a little bit more creatures on the board with the Phantom General, especially in case I draw some sort of Eyes in the Skies or something the next turn. He does go ahead and finally make a trade with his Stealer of Secrets for my Brush Strider, and it's looking okay for me. It's down 20 to 14. I go ahead and play out the Gatekeeper Vine, and I get up an island, and I could have actually not played a land and then gotten to play the island, but I played a land instead, and that was a misplay on my part. It's not going to end up mattering, but it would have been cool just to have Dramatic Rescue open if something horrible happened. So he plays a Rune Wing and chips the turn back, and now we're just kind of going back and forth. But he's drawing creatures, and really all I have right now is some tricks. I did, however, draw a Selesnya Sentry, which is pretty cool. So mostly we're just kind of holding back and trying to figure out what's going on, and he swings in with 2 of his flyers now, and I can block with the Concordia Pegasus, but I really need to get rid of some of his creatures, because if I go all in, then the Stealer of Secrets is going to hit me, and he'll end up drawing cards, and it's just really bad for me. So the plan is to get some blocks in, maybe throw down some tricks with the Giant Growth of the Dramatic Rescue, and now I have a Common Bond as well, and maybe get some advantage that way. So he Soulsworn Spirits the Pegasus, which is really unfortunate, because the reason I held back was to block one of his creatures there, and then get a chance to actually blow it out of the sky with a trick. So he ends up getting an additional 4 damage there on me, and he's managed to get it down now, 14 to 12. I do Common Bond the Selesnya Sentry because I need to start using all these tricks in my hands, and getting a pretty decent-sized guy on the board is not bad. He just blocks it with the Gatekeeper Vine and swings in with the team. I do, however, throw down an Eyes in the Skies and go to make some favorable blocks for me, but he has the exact responses that are needed to basically blow me out. He not only had a Tristani's Judgment to get rid of my Phantom General, but he had his own Giant Growth when I tried to retroactively Giant Growth a bird to make sure that it would survive, so that when I used Rootborn defenses I would have something to populate. So he managed to basically come out ahead on all parts of that exchange. And now the game is getting close, but his board position is just vastly superior to mine. And on top of that, he's getting things like Call to Conclave, and all I'm getting is more tricks with things that I can't populate. So, at this point, I kind of knew that round was over and we were going to start with the next round. So this here, now I have, a bunch of land and 2 tricks and a bird. So it's not the fastest hand, but I'm hoping that maybe I'll draw into some creatures. I had a normal amount of creatures. I had 15 creatures in this deck, but sometimes it just seemed like I should have maybe been running more compared to what my opponents had. So, fixing up my mana, and he's getting his Centaur's Herald out, and I managed to get the Sunspire Griffin out, which is fine because that pretty much takes care of all of his aerial stuff, because he had a lot of 2/2s. I also have things like the Azorius Arrestor and the Voidwalker. So, I just decided to get rid of the Centaur at the end of the turn, just because I didn't really feel like him having some sort of way to deal with getting, because I already knew he had a bunch of ways to make tokens and to populate his tokens, so just getting rid of that was kind of important. Playing the Azorius Arrestor there just to get in for some damage and have a trader for the Keying Apparition if needed. He had a Giant Growth there for his bird when I swung in with a Common Bonded Azorius Arrestor and a Sunspire Griffin, which is pretty unfortunate. So I lost half of my Common Bond, and I lost my Azorius Arrestor, but he lost his Giant Growth, and then he has a Righteous Authority. And normally that would be a really big bad problem, but luckily I am sitting on a Void Wielder, so that's fine. I'm going to end up taking some damage, and luckily he just hangs back so that I can't attack him in the air, so I didn't get hit with an additional 4 damage, but with the Void Wielder, I'll get to get rid of the bird and as well get rid of that Righteous Authority. I feel pretty good about that. So we're sitting at 19 to 10, and I'm also going to be laid down the Centaur's Herald, but the problem is that he throws down a Grove of the Guardian. So now, whereas before I was feeling pretty good, now, and he can't block here because he's going to need the bird for the Grove of the Guardian. Now I'm feeling pretty bad because he can tap all of his lands, tap his 2 creatures, and come out with an 8/8 Vigilance Dude token. And that's pretty game-changing. So, especially if he has a way to populate it. So, I mean, I can block it right now with the Centaur's Herald, which is what I'm going to do. Block with the Centaur's Herald and then make my Centaur, which is fine. So, maybe I can draw some sort of way to detain it, but of course I just draw some more land, and then on top of that he gets a Tristani's Judgment for my 1 aerial guy that was doing damage, so now he has 2 of the 8/8 Vigilance dudes, and basically I'm just hoping to draw something good, and all I end up drawing is more land. So I flooded out in the end there, and he had some pretty good stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed that. That was round 3, ended up going 1 and 2, but I will see you guys next time.